All of these stars have one thing in common: the woman who negotiates their hefty salaries and transfer fees.
It's impossible in this business to have splits between your personal and professional life. You may try, you won't succeed.
Rafaela Pimenta isn't just an agent, she's the most powerful woman in football, standing out in a controversial male-dominated industry.
No, I think they're just and they just don't know what to say. They run out of arguments and they will just say whatever. Because a person that says to you, what do you know, you're a woman, is just an
Pimenta took over for former business partner Mino Raiola after he died in 2022. For many, he represented the cash-obsessed side of football.
The bling-bling of the story is the money. So the bling-bling is the transfer, and I always say the transfer is the tip of the iceberg.
Pimenta spends a lot of time on the road. I met up with the Brazilian in Rome and at her office in Monaco. After 20 years in the business, she's been the face of the agency she founded with Raiola since April 2022. The road to the top wasn't without hurdles.
I think these people that are hostile, it's either because they really think women are inferior than they are, or they use it as a negotiation, as a leverage tool, you know, to put you down, to make you feel bad. So I have been through open insults to my face.
Her biggest transfer was likely Erling Haaland's jump from Dortmund to Manchester City. The 60 million euro transfer fee and Haaland's 24 million euro yearly contract were both negotiated by Pimenta. Agents are often accused of being a driving force behind exploding costs in the game, but she claims it's about more than money.
Players are people. Players have feelings. Players have needs, players have dreams, and sometimes what players need or want is not maybe compatible to only think in business.
She represents players from youngsters who just went pro to vets in their mid-30s.
Players that work with us, they're very young, and others, they have full-set families. So of course their relationship will change, and of course maybe a 15-year-old will ask your opinion about his girlfriend, or should he buy a car very soon. And that's not something that will happen when you're 35.
But her most important advice is always related to the game.
Some players have a certain profile of how they like to behave and how they like to train and what triggers them to perform good. And sometimes that's not how that club manages players or how that trainer manages players. And you know that the trigger that the trainer uses is completely opposite to the trigger the player needs. And that will be a clash also, so you know it's not going to work.
In which case Pimenta would speak with the coach, players or both together. Her football journey began in 1998. As a sports lawyer, she helped Brazilian internationals Rivaldo, who won the 2002 World Cup, and Cesar Sampaio, a finalist in '98, launch the club Guardingueta in Sao Paulo. It was in Brazil that she met Mino Raiola, who was a relative unknown in the football world at the time.
He was immigrant, he was unusual, he dressed unusual, he behaved unusual, which for me was all amazing.
The duo began building their empire at the turn of the 20th century. Pimenta tended to remain in the shadows, while the Italian-born Raiola soaked up the spotlight, both good and bad. His major breakthrough had come in the mid-90s. Following Euro '96, Raiola negotiated Czech star Pavel Nedved's transfer from Sparta Prague to Lazio for 4.65 million euros. 5 years later, Nedved moved to Juventus for nearly 10 times that, an astounding sum at the time.
He was already an agent, he was older than me and he was already in the business. But this company, as you see, we started together. Actually, I wrote the bylaws of this company. I registered this company. But it's normal, again, it's a different competence, I'm a lawyer, so it's normal that I did it.
The long list of players they represented includes Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Mario Balotelli, Robinho, Henry Mkhitaryan, Paul Pogba, Marco Veratti, and well, you get the point. Raiola, who spoke 7 languages, wielded real power. Players loved him. Clubs hated his tough negotiating tactics and extreme demands for eye-watering sums. Dortmund CEO Hans-Joachim Watzke called Raiola a brute following Mkhitaryan's transfer from Dortmund to Man United. Alex Ferguson used even more explicit language following Pogba's move from United to Juve.
Mino used to call me stadium rat, you know, like, oh, there she goes again, she wants to go to the game. And I was like, Mino, come on, let's go. And Mino was like, I don't want to go, we have to travel, people will be annoying me and they want to provoke me and make me react. And I was like, please, please, let's go.
Raiola unexpectedly died in April 2022 due to an illness of the lungs. Though a difficult moment for Pimenta, she kept working.
I got a call from a club. And right after the funeral, I came directly to the office because I had a meeting. And of course, people that were asking me for things and for feedback, they didn't know it was Mino's funeral. They were not supposed to know, it was not public. So it's not that they were behaving bad, they were behaving as they should, they were being professional.
Following Raiola's death, Pimenta naturally became the first point of contact for their clients.
When players started calling me, my answer was not given by myself. My answer was given by the players that were counting on things moving forward. The whole team was like, we're here for you, and that's what we want to do, and where do we go from here? And when I saw that they were all here and asking, where do we go from here? That meant we have to go somewhere, so we had to continue.
Pimenta currently represents 36 confirmed players, though rumors are the numbers actually higher. Their combined market value is hundreds of millions of euros. The biggest fish in the pond is undoubtedly Haaland.
What he can bring to a club in terms of revenues, of how much shirts they can sell, how much people will want to be at the stadium, how much content you can create around him. And if you put all this together, plus the age that he has, which means you got 15 years, if not more, ahead of you, I think this is a fair number. Yeah.
According to Transfermarkt, Haaland's transfer value has exploded from 5 million euros in 2019 when he played at RB Salzburg to 170 million in 2023. That makes him the second most valuable player in the world.
I would say it was not easy, and he really he was a star in it. If he would be older, maybe it would be expected from him, but at that age, one of his first experiences of being so much exposed as being a big player on the rise, it was amazing.
Pimenta plays a range of roles for her players, but in the end, like many agents, it boils down to the deal, and that's where players have to perform. You can only justify earth-shattering transfer fees and contracts if you set it up on the pitch. In Haaland's case, he's more than earned his contract, the second highest in the Premier League.
You cannot take for granted all the effort that is put around it. So if you say, that's magical, it was so easy for him. No, we see amazing results, but behind the scenes there's a lot of commitment, hard work, concentration, focus, and an amazing capacity to not get lost in all the noise around it.
Some of her clients have rockier starts at new clubs. Matthijs De Ligt transferred from Juve to Bayern for 67 million euros in summer of 2022. It took him longer than expected to establish himself.
If it's in football or in any other area of anybody's life, you need to prove yourself. Nothing is a given because you succeeded somewhere, you go there and you're the star of the day. No, you get there, do your job, be humble, do what you have to do, and your time will come. And I think for De Ligt it's the same.
De Ligt has blossomed into a rock-solid pick for Bayern. And he's not Pimenta's only player at the club. Nosair Masraoui is under contract with Pimenta as well. She also represents Dortmund's Donyell Malen. How was watching them meet directly with the Bundesliga on the line?
There's Masraoui, there's Malen. Then I have to be honest, I don't go to the stadium, and I would even dare to say to you, I don't want to watch the game near any other person, because I don't want anybody to have the perception, oh, you support one more than the other, because we don't. It is impossible.
Agents are widely criticized by fans, clubs, and coaches. They are often considered greedy, accused of seeing players as products that can be squeezed for as much profit as possible.
There is a limit between advising and manipulating. I see it in the industry, I see it happening, and I think this is horrible. I think that's irresponsible, and that's not something we should do. So I think we should advise, but the final word needs to come from the player. He needs to trust his instinct, and he needs to be happy about it.
With agents collectively taking in hundreds of millions in fees every year, even FIFA has moved to regulate the business.
I've met bad agents, I've met good agents. I've met bad doctors, and I've met good doctors. I've met an architect that he did my house, he took a year and a half, and after 6 months, the walls were falling apart.
FIFA has passed wide reforms, most of which will go into effect by the end of 2023. Regardless of how this changes the business, bringing in new talent will remain a major part of an agent's job.
First, we need to understand the technical qualities of a player. We have our team look through images and statistics and put it all together. Once we identify what we think makes sense, we will see if this player is willing or not to be represented by us.
Once players are signed, the agency really gets into gear. Pimenta has negotiated with the biggest clubs in the world, and things can get strained for all involved.
It's not nice when a club starts playing with you like, we'll take him, wait, we'll get back to you, and this. It's very unbalancing for a player. For us as a professional, it's confusing because it gives us the wrong message. But for the player, it's even more personal, and it's very confusing.
I would love to see just one of these negotiations, but sadly they are strictly confidential, and working with some clubs is less thorny than others.
If you take Bayern Munich, this is heaven on earth. They're hard, they're tough, they don't spend money, they will say no to everything you say, but you know what to expect. You know that this is white and this is black. Don't even ask, because it's a no. But at least you know, and you know it's funny because these are the quickest negotiations, because they want it or not, they do it or not.
Given everything she's seen, maybe Pimenta has an idea of how football will evolve.
What is the future of football so that it continues to be football, but also with that spice that is entertainment? How many competitions can they play? Should clubs have more players than they have today so that they can face the new needs and the new expectations of fans? Do we go digital? How far are we going to go when we go digital? And I hope our agency will be a part of this dialogue on behalf of players.
What do you think of agents like Pimenta and their impact on football?